That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. So, Jim, you want to start with public toilets or the CAC?
What an interesting phrasing of that question. You know what? Let's start with the CAC because, let's face it, I wasn't in yesterday, and I missed this marvelous inaugural speech by François Legault. However, for people like me, that nice Jean-François Laverge, the minister of the French language and secularism, doubled down today saying that, Quebec is under attack, its values are under attack by radical Islamists, and we can't have this. And they keep asking you, well, what are you talking about there, boss? Because we're looking for, we want to hang the story on Bedford School, he says. You remember Bedford School, that school in Montreal, and it was an elementary school, and the boys are being separated from the girls. They weren't even speaking in French. And all of this stuff, all these accusations, by the way, as far as I know, remain allegations. As far as I know, the teachers involved were suspended, but that's as far as it's gone. I've heard nothing more about it. I've certainly heard nothing more about what appears to be a flagrant lack of oversight on the part of the school principal or indeed the CAC-created school service center itself. Okay, but it's interesting because it's clear, and I think the consensus is out there, Aaron. François Legault is in huge trouble. He's getting very, very, very desperate. He can't think of any fresh things to try and scare people with. So he turns around and goes back to his greatest hit, 2018. What was it? Those Muslims are coming in here, immigration, this and that, our values are being questioned. And they have gotten away with this crap for 8 years, Aaron. But it's very, very interesting to note something. Part of the implicit suggestion and all of this nonsense that's being spewed by the cat is, well, these are little kids. Their little brains will be warped and detoured. They see somebody wearing a veil. They might see a crescent of Muhammad. They might hear people speaking in Arabic, and the next thing you know, they'll be praying 5 times a day in Mecca, and that's it. They'll be completely absorbed into this kind of creeping Muslimism, which is a word I just made up. But nice. Here's what's interesting, Aaron, okay? You may recall a couple of weeks ago, there was a daycare center that had to shut down because it was absolutely surrounded by homeless people, okay? I think it was in Midtown Montreal. Absolutely surrounded by homeless. It got a lot of ink, a lot of press, and it was just so ridiculous. But there was an interview with a mother who said, sometimes my kids would come home. My kids are like 3 and 5. They come home and they start staggering around the house, or they fall down in the house, or they pretend that they were passed out. And they say, Mama, I'm pretending I'm homeless. Okay? Yeah. Now, you might say, maybe there's some brainwashing going on there. But let me tell you something that François Legault did not mention at all yesterday. And that's the absolute plague of homelessness that has got Quebec by the throat. Quebec, the province, whether it's Montreal, Quebec City, even the regions are starting to feel this. Not a single word. Because why? Because these guys are totally out of gas. And this is the part that scares the hell out of me, Aaron. When you don't even have the wherewithal, the energy to come up with new boogeymen to put in the closet to try and scare your base, we're all in serious trouble. This is just the start. Who knows what outrage they're going to say, not next week, but tomorrow.
To your point, Jim, we know, because we've been talking about it for so long, what the main issues are for people, whether it's municipal or provincial, right? And to hear you just say now he said nothing about the situation. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like, as you said, they only have so many plays in their playbook. Beyond that, they don't know what to do. And
they haven't known it for 8 years. But I got to tell you something. At least there's a kind of frightening logic to the way this is unfolded. When you take all these incompetents who basically got elected on the strength of not being a Péquiste or not being a Quebec Liberal, okay, and they pulled it off the way. I can't figure out, even with the polls where they are, I can't figure out why it took this long for your average Quebecer to figure this out. And I know maybe it's okay. It doesn't affect me. And I'm not saying this is not a francophone thing, folks. This is for everybody. And it's not just in Quebec. If it doesn't affect you, if it's not in your backyard, you don't really give a damn. And you have reason not to give a damn because you've got 8 billion other things on your mind. Yeah. Okay? But for these guys, Aaron, they don't even try and hide it. Remember we used to talk about dog whistles? These guys use bullhorns. These guys use those big horns they use in Switzerland before you yodel. These guys are not hiding anything that they do. They are up in your face like a bunch of blue neck crackers saying those immigrants, those Muslims, those Anglos are threats to you and you and you and you and your future, and you better vote for us because we're the only ones who can protect you, which, of course, is absolute rubbish from one end to the other.
Fair enough. Again, it does make you wonder, right? How many people will continue to buy into this? And does that swing an election for them in a year from now? But that's a long time away. Jim, let me get to municipal politics. So, you missed the big story about Luc Rabouin promising us if he's elected, he pledges 60 more public toilets for the city.
Well, I'm not talking about that.
I thought you were. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's part of it. That's the first part of the story. The second punch to the story is Craig Sauvé is making his own promise about toilets. You didn't see that today?
No, I didn't.
He's going to make sure that Montrealers and tourists have access to proper sanitary facilities in his Montreal. And I swear to God, Aaron, I thought, easy toilet access was not on my election bingo card. I did not think this was coming down the pike. And on top, because you remember, I've said this on the show, and I don't think it can be repeated enough. There's no damn way you're getting me into those killer Android toilets they have there, the self-controlled ones. Yeah. There's absolutely no way I'm going to step into those, okay? But the fact of the matter is, it's part of Montreal's culture, and it goes back to the days of Drapeaus when he was shutting down public washrooms. He was chopping down trees because he thought all kinds of illicit hanky-panky were going on in both venues. And now, if you work in downtown Montreal, it depends on your seniority. You know where the bathrooms are. You know where you can go. Central Station, I'm not giving anything away. I know about 4 or 5 others in downtown that I'm not going to mention on air because why? Not. If I blow that secret, I'm going to be standing in line. Not going to happen, my friend. But that's the thing. So I guess this is part of the electoral effort to reach out to very visceral issues with Montreal voters. But it also suggests to me that in the end, as I've been saying from the beginning of this campaign, we have yet to find that holy grail, that golden fleece, that one bright, shining cause that'll suddenly get people to wake up and say, dang, I'm going to vote in this election because this is going to happen if I don't. And maybe it'll happen. I know we're talking about homelessness, which is, once again, it's front and center. It's a huge problem in Montreal as well. But once again, if you don't have the cooperation of the province, which in this particular instance is far more interested in finding imaginary Muslim radicals than they are dealing with the homeless people who are in everyone's face in Quebec, I don't have very high hopes for that as a campaign issue or as a successful issue to be tackled in Montreal.
With respect to, I had not heard that, by the way, from Craig Sauvé today, but that mirrors something from Luc Rabouin just the day before. Yeah. I'm starting to get the impression now that maybe there are pages being taken out of Projet Montréal's playbook by Craig with his party. And then I think, well, that's not surprising given the fact that he was part of that party for a number of years. Is this a surprise? It's funny you should mention that, Aaron. Because to me, right now, what you've done, you've kind of sonar-pinged against a suspicion that I had when I first saw this. Craig Sauvé, and I'll say this flat out, Craig Sauvé is running to be the mayor of Montreal. But I have a sneaking suspicion deep in his heart of hearts, given his experience with Projet Montréal, his knowledge of Projet Montréal, and the electorate that he's appealing to, which is a left-of-center electorate, which up until now has embraced Projet Montréal. I think he'd be happy as a clam to wake up on November 3rd as leader of the official opposition at City Hall and perhaps seeing Projet Montréal relegated to 3rd place. That's just my suspicion. Okay. But the idea that he's and you're quite right, he's focusing on what Projet is doing. And whether the idea is simply, it is very factual because they're talking to the same demo, let's face it. But I just find it fascinating to see this kind of focus on the part of Mr. Sauvé on Projet Montréal's, various announcements. Maybe it's just a 2-off, and maybe we won't see it again, Aaron, but it's a long way between now and November 2nd, and who knows how many interesting other coincidences will pop up on the way to Election Day. All right. Let me ask you one last thing before I let you go, Jim. I started the show today by asking people, and I'm going to come back to this in a minute, what they think of the idea of having the national anthem sung in our schools here before the start of the school day. And this comes from what's happened in Nova Scotia, where they just recently prompted by students, as a matter of fact, have now started playing the national anthem at the start of each school day. And I thought, you know what? I remember when I went to school, and I guess when you went to school as well, I'm not sure if it was God Save the Queen or O Canada, but we were singing it on
both.
Okay, we sang it on a regular basis. What do you think of the idea of bringing it back? Do you think this could work?
You know something? I think it is. I think we've spent too long being told by various politicians, I'm looking at you, Justin Trudeau, that we're a post-national state and we don't really have an identity and blah. And I think you can start with, especially get them while they're young. Start with the national anthem, but on top of everything else, if you get them while they're young, they'll get the damn words right. That's the other thing. How many adults have you heard of hockey games just mangle the lyrics, even to the first verse of Old Canada? You know?
I think
True
we have
pastry love. Come on.
Yeah, I think we have the Our Home and Native Land part. When they changed it, they threw a lot of people off. All right, Jim, we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
That amount.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.